murders.
Soaked morning, now we get to sit back and enjoy an entire beautiful afternoon of sunshine. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, across the United States, there is a labor shortage. We'll hear about an app aimed to help.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A morning filled with rain could turn into an afternoon of sunshine. Thanks for joining us on the KOAM News at Noon. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. We needed the rain, but a little blue sky wouldn't hurt. Michael joins us with a look at first weather.
Bronte, ask and ye shall receive. But I want to thank you for bringing that point up, because it had been so dry the first 27 days of the month of December. Yeah, we were needing quite a bit of precipitation, and in some spots we did, and now we get to sit back and enjoy this for the rest of the day. Live look outside of Television City as the rain is now a distant thing of the past, and slowly but surely from the central portion out to the east, little lingering cloud covers about the extent of it, but as you push off to the west, it is nothing but blue sky and sunshine. We got a couple green spots that are still popping up, but those will be gone here in the next half an hour, 45 minutes, and we're beginning a nice little warm up as well. We've seen about a 20-degree increase out here where the sun first started, and now we're back up into the mid-60s in Miami. Let's roll 60 as well in Neosho. It's a 7-day forecast that is above average temperatures, not only for today, but really to close out 2021. Now, here's the thing. We're not quite done with our precipitation. We've got a little bit more that's going to arrive tomorrow morning. Bronte, we'll talk about the extent of that when I see you here in just a little bit.
All right, thank you. Authorities in McDonald County, Missouri have arrested a man accused of pointing a gun at people on Christmas Eve. The sheriff's office says Spencer Daniels of Pineville pointed the gun at 2 people inside a vehicle behind Boone's Lake Lodge on Highway 71. Authorities say Daniels then went into the lodge, pointed the gun at more people, threw the gun in a trash can, and ran to a McDonald's where he was arrested after a short chase. Daniels is charged with 3 counts of first-degree assault and 3 counts of armed criminal action, among other charges. Authorities in Missouri issue an arrest warrant for a doctor at a private Christian boarding school. Police say 57-year-old David Smock sexually abused students at Agape Boarding School in Cedar County while he was a doctor there. Smock is charged with 2nd-degree statutory sodomy, 3rd-degree child molestation, and enticement or attempted enticement of a child. In September, the Cedar County prosecutor charged 5 other employees of the school with child sex crimes. A Columbus, Kansas man gets life in prison for 2 murders. A judge on Monday sentenced 30-year-old Mark Hopkins II to life without the possibility of parole for 50 years. The victims were found dead in a rural area of Cherokee County in June of 2020. 27-year-old Blaze Swink of rural Scammon and 20-year-old Kylan Shook of Pittsburgh had both been shot. Last month, Hopkins pled guilty to 2 counts of first-degree premeditated murder in that case. 8 people died on Missouri roadways over the long Christmas weekend, 2 fewer than the holiday period in 2020. The Missouri State Highway Patrol said troopers worked 310 total accidents during the period from Thursday through Sunday, including 92 accidents with injuries. The patrol also made 67 arrests for driving while intoxicated. Ranchers in western Kansas have begun to recover from the deadly wildfires that torched their land earlier this month, but they acknowledge it will be a long process. Rich Coaster, whose ranch near the Russell County town of Paradise was among the many that were damaged, is typically busy caring for newborn calves or preparing his herd for winter this time of year. Instead, he's burying livestock. He says about 1/3 of his 200 cattle were killed. 2 men died, and the Kansas Forest Service estimates that around 163,000 acres of land were burned on December 15th in fast-spreading fires driven by wind gusts of up to 100 miles per hour. An app is helping solve some of the pandemic-induced labor shortage, especially during the holidays. It connects daily workers with employers. Carter Evans shows us how it works.
So this is one of our most popular gifts.
At Lula's Garden in Los Angeles, 'tis the season for succulents. But CEO Laraz Birnbaum says getting holiday help during the pandemic worker shortage is a challenge.
Have you hired any people that haven't shown up and things like that, or?
Definitely.
So instead of placing a want ad, she orders InstaWorkers on an app.
And you have a worker show up the next morning.
Workers show up the next morning.
Do you have to send them a paycheck?
No, that's the best part. Once you put the credit card on the app, it's just charged automatically.
Every worker has a schedule, right, that meets their needs, and that schedule can change from week to week.
Samir Begani co-founded InstaWork in 2016.
We're economic opportunity at the touch of a button. A worker can create a profile, get to work within a day.
And when COVID hit last year, business took off.
The whole workforce changed how they work during the pandemic. They're not just looking for better jobs or higher pay, they're looking for more flexible work.
That appealed to Chester Lemon, who lost his job during the pandemic. Now he has a selection of shifts and pay.
Now I can comfortably say I am my own boss.
How's that feel?
It's a good feeling.
One day he's working at a clothing designer warehouse, and the next he's working a concert.
I did BTS this past weekend.
And the best part for him, getting paid immediately. With more than 1.5 million workers in 25 U.S. cities, the company can also provide real-time economic insight. Just since April of this year, wages on the app are up an average of 20%.
We found that about half of our professionals aren't willing to work for less than $15 an hour.
Like most InstaWorkers, Chester Lemon is an independent contractor with no benefits or overtime.
Do you ever see yourself having a regular 9-to-5 job again at one place?
It's going to be hard right now because I've gotten so used to this now. When you know you can just make money tonight, tomorrow, anytime you feel like it.
For now, the job flexibility is priceless.
Carter Evans, CBS News, Los Angeles.
InstaWork charges employers a commission, but workers pay nothing. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, the countdown to the end of 2021.
From efforts to curb COVID-19 to a tragic beachfront condo collapse to billionaires in space. I'm Michael George with a look back at the biggest stories that made national headlines in 2021.
And later, Howard has an easy and cheesy new recipe to try. Topping Nation Watch in 2021, the country watched new variants hamper efforts to fight the coronavirus pandemic. Top athletes stepped away from competition and billionaires raced into space. Michael George looks back at the year of 2021.
More people in the U.S. died from COVID-19 in 2021 than 2020, driven in part by the highly contagious Delta variant.
If you're not vaccinated, I'll tell you flat out, you're a fool.
Vaccines became widely available, but hesitancy remained. By mid-December, about 20% of eligible Americans still hadn't gotten a first shot.
I want to give my condolences to the Floyd family.
Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was sentenced in June, months after a jury convicted him of the 2020 murder of George Floyd. During the trial, there was another police-involved killing of a black man in nearby Brooklyn Center, Minnesota.
Not guilty.
A Wisconsin jury found Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty for fatally shooting 2 men and wounding a third during a night of violent protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
I didn't do anything wrong. I defended myself.
2 weeks later, a jury in Georgia convicted 3 white men of murdering Ahmaud Arbery as he jogged through their neighborhood in 2020. In June, a condo building in Surfside, Florida partially collapsed, killing 98 people. And in November, 10 people died during a crowd stampede at Houston's Astroworld Music Festival. Later that month, a driver plowed his SUV through a Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin, killing 6 people. The nation once again reeled from mass shootings, including the deadly Atlanta area spa shootings that shed a light on hate crimes targeting Asian Americans, and a school shooting in Oxford, Michigan left 4 students dead. The alleged gunman and his parents are facing charges. From a crippling Arctic blast in Texas to massive wildfires out west to deadly tornadoes in the heartland, the U.S. faced more extreme weather. Hurricane Ida hit Louisiana as the most powerful storm since Katrina. Then its remnants brought flooding and destruction to the Northeast.
We've just been fighting all morning.
The disappearance of 22-year-old Gabby Petito and manhunt for her fiancé Brian Laundrie gripped the nation. Autopsies revealed she was strangled.
he died by suicide.
Bill Cosby returned home from prison after Pennsylvania's Supreme Court threw out his 2018 sexual assault conviction. And a federal jury convicted R&B superstar R. Kelly of sex trafficking and racketeering after facing accusations for decades. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo resigned in August following a sexual harassment investigation. Tennis star Naomi Osaka and gymnast Simone Biles raised awareness about mental health issues in the sports world. And 2021 was out of this world for billionaires Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson as they raced into space. Along for the ride, Star Trek icon William Shatner.
It's extraordinary,
Who boldly went where no 90-year-old has ever gone before. Michael George, CBS News.
Tonight at 5 p.m., our year in review turns to the business world. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon.
This is the time of year when we start craving meals that are hot and comforting. So with that in mind, we thought it'd be fun to whip up a casserole that's just that.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
The Spigarelli.
Oftentimes we say what a difference a day makes. Tuesday's a case of what a difference a morning makes. Earlier from the tower cam at 7th and Rangeline. Couldn't even see down to the intersection, obscured by the rain coming down sideways. My goodness, what a gorgeous afternoon and evening we're going to have with extremely warm temperatures for this time of year. We're going to be about 20 degrees above our average, already sitting at 62 over 7th and Rangeline. And we'll pick up that wind. That wind really going to dry us out very quickly. We're now back to 65 in both Miami and in Grove, still waiting on the eastern portion to warm up a little bit, but out to the western portion of southeast Kansas, throw up a 64 in Sedan and 63 in Independence, the result of everything clearing out from west to east. And so the sunshine already taking effect. And once again, we'd usually only top out around 45 degrees here to close out a year. Now, we're not going to challenge that 69 that was set in 1984 at Joplin Regional Airport. More important than our temperatures, though, is the fact that we were able to pick up 0.3 of an inch of rain. That's at Joplin Regional. That's kind of a conservative estimate because we've got some places here that are indicated in green. If you run down south, in between Joplin and Neosho, that's about 1.2 inches. We had about 1.7 to 1.8 inches up in the northeastern section. And then also there's some little lines there throughout southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, crossing the state line into Labette County right there that are about at 1.1, 1.2 inches. And once again, it was much needed, and the fact that we never had any advisories pop up, no storm reports to speak of, and everything pushing out well to our east right now. A little bit of a mess up there where they certainly got a whole lot more rain, but also too because their temperatures turned into a wintry mix. Now we've got to pay attention to the wind. One nice thing about the wind is it's going to dry us off very quick. I just walked outside a little bit ago. Our grass outside Television City just about dry, hardly any puddles even left. But we're going to have to roll in from the west-southwest at about 20 miles per hour for the rest of the afternoon. Now that the jet stream kind of carried this large system on the other side of the Mississippi, look at the amount of snow that it produced up to the north. And the thunderstorm activity really going to be for the Tennessee River Valley, which of course they're still trying to clean up from the devastating tornadoes. Little break for the west coast there. Finally, the atmospheric river beginning to die down, and we'll see this storm system make its way toward the east coast, which will cause some problems for them just in time for New Year's. But for us, it is smooth sailing. Yeah, like I said, a little bit windy, but a nice little warm up. Now, overnight, clouds are going to come back on us, and want everybody to be prepared for a little Wednesday morning rain. Kind of almost the same pattern as it'll develop down to the southwest, do so a little bit later than what this morning did, and it won't be as widespread. As it starts, though, could affect your morning commute if you get out a little bit later. And then as it rolls through mainly south of I-44 up to the north, out to the west, going to remain dry. And then, like I said, similar in nature time frame, by the time we hit about the noon hour, we're going to be in the clear. Bronte, look at these temperatures. Just an amazing way to finish off the old year and open up the new one as we get to enjoy 50s and 60s all the way until Saturday. Now,
definitely glad it cleared up from this morning.
Speaking of Saturday into Sunday.
Yes.
We'll tackle that later. I want everybody to enjoy a marvelous afternoon and evening. Let's enjoy that.
Okay, focusing on the positive,
exactly.
Right?
We've got plenty of time to talk about the cold front to begin 2022.
All right, thank you. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero. Sergeant Roy Abercrombie served in the U.S. Air Force from 1971 to 1978. He served with the 38th Tactical Airlift Support Unit and earned an Expert Marksman Medal. His hometown, Knoll, Missouri. And we are proud to salute Roy Abercrombie, a 4-state hero. If you like simple, delicious, and hearty, Howard's got just the recipe for you. It's a traditional cottage pie that you can have on the table in just 30 minutes. And the best part is your family will love it. We're making an easy, cheesy cottage pie today in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
One of the requests we get from so many of you is for easy casseroles that are budget friendly. Well, we've been listening. That's why today we're whipping up an old-fashioned cottage pie that's cozy and satisfying. The first thing we do is saute some chopped onions in butter until they start to brown. Then we cook some lean ground beef in the same pan as the onions, seasoning it with some salt and pepper, breaking it up as it cooks. Once the meat is browned, we add in a jar of beef gravy and let that simmer. This gets spooned into a casserole dish and we top it with some mashed potatoes that we mix with a bit of shredded cheddar. As for the potatoes, these can be homemade, leftover, or even easier, the refrigerated kind that we find in our dairy aisle. Now we'll pop it in the oven for about 15 minutes. And when the top is golden and the filling is piping hot, it's done. I know you're thinking, how could something so easy look so good? This is the kind of meal you want to have ready when the weather gets a bit cooler and you start craving something warm and comforting. To get the recipe for what we call our easy cheesy cottage pie, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a supermarket shortcut way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website, koamnewsnow.com. Now, here's a look at 4-state market prices.
Nothing but blue sky and warm temperatures for the duration of our Tuesday. Remember, we'll have a little rain kick in, mainly along and south of I-44 for Wednesday morning, but not as widespread as what we had this morning.
Here's what's coming up at 5. Our year in review turns to the business world. The pandemic kept its grip on financial matters as the Delta variant slammed the brakes on the return to office. Small investors staged a rebellion over GameStop. Millions of Americans quit their jobs, and the tech titans took on a president. All that at 5. Plus, a 4-state hospital unveils an improved emergency department. We're going to find out why COVID-19 surge brought the need for renovations to light. And Kansas releases a housing needs assessment. We'll break down the data for Southeast Kansas. Hope you'll join us for those stories, a lot more, of course. It's coming up on KOAM News at 5.
Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.